is here for you. It helps you in all you do. It helps you know you do. So tune in and now enjoy the fun. It's time for English, everyone. Studio Classroom is on the air. You can watch it everywhere. English is the way to go. So join us now, enjoy the show.
Well, hey there, welcome to Studio Classroom. We're very happy that you are joining us here today. My name is Gabe.
And I'm Anne-Marie. Today, as always, is a great day to learn something new.
So let's do something and learn something new together. Our lesson is called The World of Live Action Role Playing. Anne-Marie, what is role playing in general?
That's a great question. Role playing is pretending to be someone else. You could also say role playing is like make-believe.
Make-believe is a great phrase for you to know. That's going to come up a couple of times in our lesson. Pretending to be someone else. Pretend is a good word for you. So you're role-playing, you're acting like somebody else, often like a character, maybe from a movie or a book or something like that. Well, what is live action role-playing? Let's find out right now.
The world of live-action role-playing. Instead of just reading a story, be part of it. For many people, the days of playing make-believe ended in childhood. But for some, the game of make-believe lives on in live-action role-playing or LARP. This is a game where people act out characters in a prepared plot.
Hey everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们首先来看 make believe 这个名词，它的意思是假想或是虚幻。譬如 as children, we spent hours playing make believe in our magical kingdom that we made in our backyard. 作为小孩子，我们花了几个小时在后院所创造的神奇王国里玩假扮游戏，或者是The theater production brought the world of make-believe to life. 这个剧场创作把虚构的世界变得栩栩如生。再看一句 The little girls laughed as they held a make-believe tea party with their stuffed animals. 小女孩们在和她们的绒毛玩具举办一场假扮茶会时，哈哈大笑着。接下来看Plot 这个名词意思是情节或是阴谋。譬如 The book's plot was so interesting that it was hard to put it down. 这本书的情节非常有趣，让人爱不释手。或者是 The police carefully took apart the plot behind the crime and found out who had really killed Henry Miller. 警方仔细拆解犯罪背后的阴谋，找出了真正杀害 Henry Miller 的凶手。Plot 也可以是动词，意思呢是在图上标出或画出。譬如 The captain of the ship plotted the course from the Philippines to Fiji. 船长标示出从菲律宾到斐济的航线。
Thank you so much, Jack. Okay, so our title again is The World of Live Action Role Playing. And then we see instead of just reading a story, be part of it. Well, we have different ways we can talk about being a part of something, right, Anne-Marie? Like to participate in or to take part in.
Yeah, or in this case, maybe you could say act it out yourself. That's what it means in this context here, friends. Be a part of something. That means that you are a member of that, like a club, or it's something that you are doing and participating in. Well, we read here, for many people, the days of playing make-believe ended in childhood. I know I definitely played make-believe when I was a child, but I don't do it too often now.
Well, this reminds me of our lesson earlier this month about Hermione Lee. She is no longer a child, but she still likes playing make-believe. especially as she writes new stories, new fantasy stories, right? So a lot of adults like playing make-believe, actually, and our lesson is about these kinds of adults, right? For some, the game of make-believe lives on in live-action role-playing or LARP, L-A-R-P, LARP. Now, actually, Anne-Marie, the first time that I actually heard this term was a couple months ago.
Okay.
Before I even knew we were having an article about LARPing.
Oh.
And I saw it on one of those social media sites. Maybe it was Reddit.
Okay.
And it was used as a criticism.
Oh.
Yeah. So someone was criticizing someone else for pretending to be someone they're not. And they said, oh, this person is just LARPing.
Oh, so if someone is LARPing, it means that they're playing a role or playing a character that they aren't. And in our article, it has a very literal meaning, but I guess it can be used as a slang meaning as well on the internet. Very interesting. Well, we saw in this sentence the phrase lives on, and we do use that phrase to talk about especially a legacy or something that is continuing long into the future. For example, maybe someone has passed away, but their story lives on in a book. And in here, we're saying the game of make-believe lives on way past childhood for people who like LARPing.
And we read, this is a game where people act out characters in a prepared plot. Well, let's take a look at those words, to act something out. When it comes to theater or drama, actors will act out characters on stage or in a movie, right? But this word act out, or these two words, actually have another meaning too. It could mean to behave badly, especially if someone is under pressure or stressed about something, then they may act out, or animals might act out. That means they're behaving badly in public.
Yeah, for example, the little boy was so tired he began to act out. It means that the little boy was beginning to act badly and maybe in a way that other people didn't like.
That's right. Now with that usage, it just ends right there. He was acting out. But of course in our lesson you need to add something else. So these people are acting out characters. What kind of characters do you like to play? What kind of characters do you like to act out? We have more to learn about LARPing right after this.
Welcome to InfoCloud. Hey Rex, did you get a chance to read that book that I recommended?
Yeah, I finished it last night. The plot was very interesting.
By plot, you mean the storyline of the book, right?
Yeah, a plot is a series of events that happens from the beginning to the end of a movie or a book.
Right. You can think of it as a roadmap for the story that tells you what happens when.
Yeah, for example, the plot of The Three Pigs involves three young pigs that leave home, build houses, and fight to survive a wolf that tries to eat them one by one.
That's a great example, Rex. Did you know the word plot can also refer to a plan?
Yeah, it often refers to a plan or strategy with a secret or bad intention.
Sometimes a plot can be illegal too. For example, a group of thieves might have a plot to rob a bank.
So a plan is usually positive, but a plot is often a negative thing.
Yeah, it could be. A similar word is scheme, but plots usually involve multiple people working together in secret to achieve a goal. A scheme could be just one person.
很多故事相当引人入胜，因为它有非常精彩的 plot 串联起整个故事。plot 就是故事情节，你可以把 plot 想象成一个完整故事的走向或示意图。The plot of the Three Pigs involves their fight against the wolf. 三只小猪的故事情节就是他们对抗大野狼的过程。plot 还有另外一个意思，那就是阴谋或是密谋。A group of thieves plotted to rob the bank. 一群强盗密谋要抢那家银行。另外 scheme 也是密谋，不过通常 scheme 是一个人做的 ，plot 就有一群人参与。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
The world of live-action role-playing. A game master creates the plot and then puts together an event where people perform the story. Those who find a particular plot compelling sign up for the event. Then, the game master or the players themselves make up their characters for the story. At the event, each person comes in costume and behaves as their character.
再来看 costume 这个名词，指的是戏服或是化妆服。譬如 The fancy costume changed Benny from a little boy into a fierce pirate. 这件复杂的戏服将 Benny 从一个小男孩变成了凶狠的海盗。或是 The Halloween party was filled with guests dressed in creative costumes, ranging from superheroes to historical figures. 万圣节派对上，许多来宾穿着创意十足的戏服，从超级英雄到历史人物一应俱全。或是 When their family went to Disneyland, Chloe's mother bought her a princess costume. 当他们一家人去迪士尼乐园时 ，Chloe 的妈妈买了一套公主服装给她。
Thank you very much, Jack. All right, let's continue learning about LARPing here. A game master creates the plot and then puts together an event where people perform the story. Well, game master, that's not something that every activity has. In fact, it's not something that every game has. But if you're doing some live action role playing, then that is the name of this role. The person who is kind of in charge of this whole event is the game master.
And that's what the word master means, right? A master is someone who is in charge of everything and controls everything in that area. So the game master is the one who controls what happens in the game. Let's read more about that. So the game master creates the plot and then puts together an event where people perform the story. Those who find a particular plot compelling sign up for the event. So this is how the world of LARPing works. There's a game master, they set up a story or a game, and then people can decide if they want to participate or not. There's a couple things in here we want to look at. And first, let's talk about that word compelling. What does it mean if something is compelling?
Right. Compelling has a couple of different meanings that we could talk about here on the program. First, let's talk about the meaning as it's used in our lesson. That means it evokes interest. It makes people interested in something and they want to know more about it or perhaps even get involved. So they're compelled to do something or compelled to get involved. Now, an argument could be compelling. That has a slightly different meaning, okay? That means that it's easy to be believed or it's really hard to refute that argument and say that it's wrong because it's a compelling argument.
In both of these examples, you get the idea that the word compelling is kind of getting you to believe something or convincing you of something in some way. All right, well, let's see how else this works. The game master or the players themselves make up their characters for the story. Now, we saw that word make believe in the language lab earlier. Now we're seeing the phrase to make up. And this is the idea of to create a story.
That's right. And in our lesson, it's used in a positive way. Of course, if you're creating a story, that's not based on anything true or real, then you're making up a story. All fiction stories are made up, right? But sometimes people make up things and that could mean they're being dishonest about something. For example, maybe you made up some statistics or made up some experiences that you had in order to try to convince somebody else to believe you, but actually those things didn't happen.
Yeah, that's not a good thing to make up. All right, so we're making up the story, we're making up the characters. Then at the event, each person comes in costume and behaves as their character. We talked about the word behavior earlier when we were talking about that phrase to act out, to have good or bad behavior. And right here, it's talking about behavior as a verb. So that means you're going to act as the person that you made up.
Yeah, there are different words that kind of mean the same thing, and you get the idea here with behaving as the character is that these people who are acting are really thinking about everything that the character might do. How would they act in this certain situation? Maybe even thinking up their background. They have to make up this character's background, of course, but then they'll behave accordingly. Well, we do have more to learn about this right after today's fun fact.
Hello, fact friends. I am Detective Ernest Finder, and I have a fun fact for you today. Did you know that LARPers often fight each other? It's true. Even though, many LARPers are good friends, they hit each other with padded weapons. And some LARPers even shoot arrows at each other. Sounds dangerous and sort of fun, but also dangerous. I hope they are still friends after they hit each other. And that's today's fun fact.
The world of live-action role-playing. Although pretty much anything goes in LARP, nearly every event involves players completing a mission together. A game master writes a goal into the plot and usually prepares challenges or obstacles for the players. For example, a character may interfere with the mission, making it hard to complete the goal. LARP events can be as long as the game masters want them to be. They can last anywhere from a few hours to several days.
最后来看 interfere 这个动词，它的意思是干涉或干扰。譬如 Julie's daughter told her she was interfering, but Julie insisted that she was only trying to help. Julie 的女儿说她在干涉她，但 Julie 坚持认为她只是想帮忙。或是 The police did not interfere with the bank robbery, so they could catch the criminals altogether afterward. 警察没有干扰银行抢劫案，以便能够事后将罪犯一网打尽。再来看一句 Don't give anyone advice unless asked for, so people don't think you are interfering in their lives. 不要给任何人建议，除非对方要求，这样他们不会认为你在干预他们的生活。
Thank you so much, Jack. Well, we read here, although pretty much anything goes in LARP, nearly every event involves players completing a mission together. What does it mean if anything goes?
Well, if anything goes, it means that there's not a set rule or there's not a set sort of things that are going to happen. Anything could happen at a LARP event. It also means that anything could be permissible as well. For example, my kids usually eat a pretty healthy, balanced diet, but when they see their grandparents, anything goes.
I know exactly what that means, and I know what you mean by that as well, because the same thing happens with my family, right? It seems like the rules are just kind of tossed aside and anything goes in that kind of situation. There's a famous musical called Anything Goes. I like that musical, not because of the overall message, but because there's a song in there that features my name. You can look it up, friends. Blow, Gabriel, blow. It's a great song. Anyway, what about that word mission? Now, maybe you're thinking, what's the difference between a mission and a quest? Well, they're related words. You could go on a mission, you could go on a quest. A quest is more like the journey that you're taking when you're going on and doing something. But the mission kind of implies there's something that you also have to do while you're on that journey.
All right, well, the game master writes the goal or the mission into the plot and usually prepares challenges or obstacles for the players. All right, so the game master has to do a lot of prep work for these events. It sounds like they're preparing the story and now they are writing a goal into the plot. So maybe there's a story they already have prepared, but now they're going to actually put the mission or the goal or what the players are trying to accomplish right there into the story.
Now, what is the difference between a challenge and an obstacle? Well, if it's an obstacle, it's going to be challenging, right? Because you have to find your way over it or around it, right? That's what an obstacle is. It gets in the way of your mission or what you're trying to do. A challenge is more general, right? It's anything that could be a little bit difficult to do. Think like a riddle or a puzzle or something like that. But we see an example of an obstacle here. A character may interfere with the mission, making it hard to complete the goal.
All right, so maybe the character you are assigned or that you choose to be is the one who's trying to mess up the goal for the other players. So it sounds like sometimes in the story there could be a good guys and a bad guys type situation. All right, LARP events can be as long as the game masters want them to be. They can last anywhere from a few hours to several days.
Well, that's a great sentence structure for you to know, friends. It can go anywhere from one thing to another thing.
Right. We could talk about this in a lot of different ways, and it's usually used in reference to time, right? So maybe there's a certain ride you want to go on at an amusement park, but you see the wait time can be anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 hours. So you would have to decide if you actually would want to go on that ride or not.
Yeah, it's kind of a way of expressing uncertainty. You don't want to give someone a certain answer, so this is a way you can express that. Well, right now it's time to hear what you said.
What you said.
Friends, it's time to find out what you said. We asked you some questions about make-believe and playing pretend over on our Instagram account, sc.hosts. Let's see what you guys had to say. Our first question was, when you were a child, did you like pretend play? Did you like make-believe? 77% of you said that yes, you did like pretend play when you were a child. I know I loved to play pretend when I was a child as well. I think it's something that a lot of kids like to do. We also asked, what did you pretend to be when you were a child? We got some really great responses. Some of you liked to be a mermaid, Superman. Let's see. A couple of you said that you pretended to be teachers. That is also something I pretended to be when I was little. I would line up all of my stuffed animals and pretend to be a teacher with them. Marvel superheroes, an ancient person such as a princess or queen. You guys had a lot of great responses to that question. Now, the next question that we asked was, have you ever worn a costume before? I think a lot of us have worn costumes, maybe for Halloween or a costume party. 57% of you said yes, you have worn a costume. Now, this is an interesting one. We actually asked how many of you have heard of LARP before, of course, our topic for today. Only 14% of you said that you have heard of LARP. So hopefully after going through this article, you will be more familiar and know all there is to know about it.
All right, I have a quiz for everybody, including you, Anne-Marie.
Okay, I'm ready. I've already put my notes down.
Good, good. Fill in the blank here. A character may blank with the mission, making it hard to complete the goal. Here are your options: compel, make up, or interfere.
Okay, well, compel is the idea of convincing someone to do something. I don't think that's right. What's the second choice?
To make up. A character may make up with the mission.
No, that's not right. Has to be the last one. What was the last option? Interfere?
It is the last one. It's interfere. I didn't make that challenging enough, did I?
No, you did not.
Well, that's the correct answer, though, friends. Some characters may interfere with the mission, which could, of course, add some fun to the activity. Well, we do have more to learn about LARPing tomorrow, right here on
Studio Classroom.
I'm so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.